Hey everybody, it's Byron Cox here, coming to you with our Read Daily Personal Development Challenge. Obviously, out of this book, this is day 11 of reading this book, The New Psycho-Cybernetics. So let's just pick up where we left off. First subheading there on page 35. Are you connected to an infinite storehouse of ideas, knowledge, and power? Many great thinkers of all ages have believed that a human being's stored information is not limited to personal memories or past experiences and learned facts. There is one mind common to all individual men, said Emerson, who compared our individual minds to the inlets in an ocean of universal mind. Thomas Edison believed that he got some of his ideas from a source outside himself. Once, when complimented for a creative idea, he disclaimed credit, saying that ideas are in the air, and if he had not discovered it, someone else would have. Dr. J.B. Rhine, once head of Duke University's parapsychology laboratory, has proved experimentally that people have access to knowledge, facts, and ideas other than their own individual memories or stored information from learning or experience. Telepathy, clairvoyancy, and precognition have been established by countless scientific laboratory experiments. Our government, the Russian government, and other nations have quietly invested huge sums and many years of ongoing research into such matters. In recent years, people have brought these subjects into the public more as entertainment than science, such as Uri Geller or the amazing Kreshkin. While much of what passes for telepathy in magicians and mentalist stage performances is nothing but trickery, both Geller and Kreshkin have had their abilities documented in laboratory settings. Kreshkin himself insists that everybody possesses the same abilities as he does. The difference is in developing and use. I'm admittedly more interested in the thinking of a Thomas Edison than a Kreshkin on this, but if you look at the entire span of research and relevant writings from the 1920s to the present, you'll find one common thread of great potential to use, and directly related to psycho-cybernetics. You can give problem-solving or idea-getting tasks to your servo mechanism, send it off on a search while you do other things, even while you sleep, and have it return with useful material you didn't know you knew and might never have obtained through conscious thought or worry. This becomes a common experience and great benefit for those of us who regularly rely on psycho-cybernetics. It occurs because the servo mechanism has access to a much more expansive storehouse of information than the conscious mind. The famous composer Schubert is said to have told a friend that his own creative process consisted in remembering a melody that neither he nor anyone else had ever thought of before. Many creative artists, as well as psychologists who have made a study of the creative process, have been impressed by the similarity between creative inspiration, sudden revelation, or intuition, and ordinary human memory. Searching for a new idea or an answer to a problem is, in fact, very similar to searching memory for a name you have forgotten. You know that the name is there, or else you would not search. The scanner in your brain scans back over stored memories until the desired name is recognized or discovered. The answer exists now. In much the same way, when we set out to find a new idea or the answer to a problem, we must assume that the answer exists already somewhere and set out to find it. Dr. Norbert Wiener has said, once a scientist attacks a problem which he knows to have an answer, his entire attitude has changed. He is already some 50% of his way toward the answer. Norbert Wiener, The Human Use of Human Beings. When you set out to do creative work, whether in selling, managing a business, writing a sonnet, improving human relations, or whatever, you begin with a goal in mind, an end to be achieved, a target answer, which, although perhaps somewhat vague, will be recognized when achieved. If you really mean business, have an intense desire, and begin to think intensely about all angles of the problem, your creative mechanism goes to work, and the scanner we spoke of earlier scans back through stored information or gropes its way to an answer. It selects an idea here, a fact there, a series of former experiences, and relates them or ties them together into a meaningful whole that will fill out the incomplete portion of your situation, complete your equation, or solve your problem. When this solution is served up to your consciousness, often at an unguarded moment when you are thinking of something else, or perhaps even as a dream while your consciousness is asleep, something clicks and you at once recognize this as the answer you have been searching for. In this process, does your creative mechanism also have access to stored information in a universal mind? Numerous experience of creative workers would seem to indicate that it does. How else, for example, can you explain the experience of Louis Agassiz, told by his wife? The excerpt reads, he had been striving to decipher the somewhat obscure impression of a fossil fish on the stone slab in which it was preserved. Weary and perplexed, he put his work aside at last and tried to dismiss it from his mind. Shortly after, he walked one night persuading that, while asleep, he had seen his fish with all the missing features perfectly restored. He went early to the Jardin des Plantes, thinking that on looking anew at the impression, he would see something to put him on the track of his vision. In vain, the blurred record was as blank as ever. The next night he saw the fish again, but when he waked, it disappeared from his memory as before. Hoping the same experience might be repeated on the third night, he placed a pencil and paper beside his bed before going to sleep. Towards morning, the fish reappeared in his dream, confused at first, but at last with such distinctness that he no longer had any doubt as to his zoological characters. Still, half dreaming in perfect darkness, he traced these characters on the sheet of paper at the bedside. In the morning, he was surprised to see in his nocturnal sketch features, which he thought it impossible the fossil itself would reveal. He hastened to the Jardin des Plantes and, with his drawing as a guide, succeeded in chiseling away the surface of the stone under which portions of the fish proved to be hidden. When wholly exposed, the fossil corresponded with his dream and his drawing, and he succeeded in classifying it with ease. You're no Einstein. Sometimes a parent or teacher, frustrated at a young person's seeming inability to grasp mathematics, will utter the critical, disparaging negative affirmation, "He's no Einstein," walking away in disappointment and frustration. Well, it turns out that Einstein was no Einstein either. In the book Sparks of Genius, researchers and authors Robert and Michelle Root Bernstein disclosed that Einstein's peers knew that Einstein was relatively weak in mathematics, often needing the assistance of mathematicians to do the detail work to push his idea forward. Einstein wrote to one such person, "Do not worry about your difficulties in mathematics. I can assure you that mine are far greater." Much of Einstein's celebrated success came about in his imagination in very unscience-like ways. He once described an experiment in which he imagined himself to be a photon moving at the speed of light. Imagine what he as a photon saw and felt, then imagine himself as a second photon pursuing the first. What kind of scientific experimentation is this? Where is the blackboard filled with chalky logarithms and formulas we typically associate with Einstein? My own analysis of everything I've read about Albert Einstein is that he was a great practitioner of psycho-cybernetics. He acted as if a theoretical idea was a factual conclusion, then turned the figuring out over to his own servo mechanism as well as to other worker bees. I am convinced he connected with intelligence outside the realm of his own stored data through his imagination. He was a brilliant target setter. His accomplishments stand as testament to an individual's opportunity to rise above and beyond his or her stored knowledge, education, experience, or skill through the power of imagination. You can too. That's where we'll leave off today. That was the end of page 38. We'll pick up on page 39 next time. We'll see you real soon. You guys take care.